Let's continue discussing Seth Stephens-Davidowitz's book, Don't Trust Your Gut. In the previous section, we talked about the multiplication of effort and luck. Now, let's delve into the relationship between ability and luck. Effort involves spending time and pursuing quantity. Sending out 30 resumes when others send 15 is a clear demonstration of effort. On the other hand, ability refers to quality, the gold content of your resume. Effort is often considered a R strategy, casting a wide net, where failure doesn't matter as long as you seize one opportunity. Ability, on the other hand, is a K strategy, focusing on key opportunities that may be limited but require maximum utilization for growth. In matters like blind dates and job hunting, effort is crucial. However, for endeavors like growing and strengthening a company, ability becomes more important. Seth discusses the growth history of Airbnb, shedding light on the Silicon Valley startup scene. The inception of Airbnb might sound unreliable. Two young individuals, Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia, alumni from an art school, rented an apartment together in San Francisco. In October 2007, during a large event in the city, all local hotels were fully booked. Unemployed and in need of money, Chesky and Gebbia thought of offering additional accommodation in their rented apartment. They provided air mattresses and breakfast. A service idea. They advertised, and people actually rented. This scenario might seem common. Many young people have done similar things over the years. However, Chesky and Gebbia made an unconventional decision. They wanted to turn this temporary stay into a business, not by providing accommodation themselves, but by creating a website. Anyone with a spare room could offer lodging services. They had a common friend, Nathan Blecherczyk, a skilled computer expert, who helped build the website. The initial name of the website was long, airbnbbreakfast.com, emphasizing air mattresses and breakfast. The business model involved the host and guest staying together, sharing space, and providing breakfast. This was different from Airbnb's current model. Despite having the website ready, they faced a lack of business. Large events were not always happening, and people still preferred traditional hotels. After a period with little income, Chesky and Gebbia accumulated a $20,000 debt on credit cards. Blecherczyk, the programmer, left to find a job in Boston as there seemed to be no promising future. Chesky and Gebbia persisted, and decided to promote their business specifically in places with large events. South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, was one such event that attracted artists, geeks, and innovators from around the world. Though the business did not flourish, they met Michael Seibel, a well-connected figure in Silicon Valley. The next major gathering was the 2008 Democratic National Convention, held in Denver. Chesky and Gebbia went to Denver again, but their business was still struggling. However, they came up with a new idea. They packaged a breakfast cereal, featuring Barack Obama and John McCain as the cover figures, and sold it at the event. The sales were good, and it helped them pay off their previous debts. Unfortunately, this trend-driven business was not sustainable. At this point, Seibel introduced them to a Silicon Valley venture capital company called Y Combinator, abbreviated as YC. A company that is still very famous today. YC's CEO at that time was Paul Graham, the author of the iconic geek book Hackers and Painters, and a prominent figure in Silicon Valley. Graham wasn't very optimistic about Chesky and Gebbia's business model, but upon learning that they sold cereal at the Democratic National Convention, he admired their spirit and provided them with a $20,000 seed fund. So, they brought back the programmer, Blecherczyk, and the team survived for a few more months. At this crucial point, Airbnb had an epiphany. A drummer planning a tour wanted to rent out his entire house while he was away. Initially against their business model, which involved hosts staying with guests, Chesky and Gebbia considered the drummer's request. It sparked the idea that people might prefer renting vacant spaces without the host present. The shift in strategy proved successful, and the website was rebranded as Airbnb.com. Their business finally took off. Fortunes changed when Graham's friend, Greg McAdoo of Sequoia Capital, recognized Airbnb and provided substantial funding. The rest is history. A side note to the story. In 2014, Graham stepped down as YC's CEO, And the new CEO was none other than Sam Altman, who is now the CEO of OpenAI. It illustrates the interesting dynamics of Silicon Valley's interconnected circles. Altman, upon joining YC, outlined a success formula in a Stanford entrepreneurship class. Entrepreneurial success equals idea times product times execution times team times luck. Here, luck is a random number between 0 and 10,000. The formula underscores the significance of luck. Analyzing Airbnb's startup story, luck indeed played a significant role. Encountering large gatherings, receiving investments from Silicon Valley figures, and getting the inspiration to change the business model. Chesky and Gebbia also worked hard, tirelessly promoting the business at various significant events. However, effort and luck alone cannot fully explain their success. You also need ability. A systematic analysis of the relationship between ability and luck can be conducted. Researchers studied companies that outperformed their peers in the stock market by at least 10 times, forming the 10x club. Companies like Amgen in biopharmaceuticals, Intel in chips, and Progressive Insurance in the insurance industry performed more than 10 times better than their counterparts for at least 20 years. How did they achieve this? Certainly, luck played a significant role. For instance, Amgen's success was partly due to the accidental discovery by a Taiwanese scientist, Lin Fu-Kuan, of a protein that helped kidneys produce red blood cells. This led to the development of Epigen, one of the most profitable drugs in biotechnology history. Without such luck, Amgen wouldn't be what it is today. To systematically examine the importance of luck for these 10x companies, researchers counted each company's good luck events. These events needed to meet 3 criteria. 1. The occurrence of the event was largely independent of the company's actions. 2. The event had a significant impact on the company's development. 3. The event involved unpredictable factors. Following these criteria, researchers found that, on average, each 10x company faced around 7 good luck events. This highlights the importance of luck in achieving greatness. However, researchers didn't just focus on good luck events for 10x companies. They also analyzed the ordinary, mediocre 1x companies in the same field. For example, a pharmaceutical company comparable to Amgen was Genentech. Researchers found that Genentech also experienced some crucial good luck events. For instance, being slightly ahead of others, they manufactured synthetic insulin, entering a profitable market. Why? Then, didn't companies like Genentech reach the scale of 10x? It wasn't because they had fewer good luck events. Researchers found that there is no significant statistical difference in lucky events between 10x companies and 1x companies. In fact, on average, 10x companies experienced 7 lucky events, while 1x companies experienced 8 lucky events. This implies that ordinary companies have just as many, if not more, lucky opportunities. The difference lies in how well they seize and maximize the benefits of those opportunities. It comes down to capability. Looking back at Airbnb, while luck played a significant role, the founders' abilities were remarkable. Chesky and Gebbia proactively connected with Silicon Valley elites, built a network, sought support from YC, and swiftly shifted to a new idea when they realized their initial one wasn't as promising. These are not traits common in young entrepreneurs. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Airbnb's business declined by 72%. However, the company quickly cut costs, shifted focus to long-term stays, generously refunded guests, provided substantial severance packages during layoffs, earned a good reputation, and had an outstanding financial performance in 2020, with an IPO valuation exceeding $100 billion. These high-level decisions showcase ability. Ability can turn bad luck into good luck. We can also analyze the relationship between ability and luck from another perspective. Companies like Airbnb, where a good idea can lead to significant entrepreneurial success for inexperienced young individuals, represent a Silicon Valley myth rather than the typical scenario. More commonly, successful entrepreneurs are middle-aged. A study of 2.7 million entrepreneurs found that the average age of American business founders is 41.9 years. Moreover, as long as entrepreneurs start before the age of 60, the later they start, the higher the likelihood of entrepreneurial success. Is this because there are many traditional industries, and high-tech industries should belong to young people? Not necessarily. The average age of founders in the high-tech industry is even higher, at 42.3 years. In general, successful entrepreneurs are not the fearless young novices, but rather middle-aged experts. These individuals usually have worked in the relevant field for a considerable time. Statistics show that people with experience in the relevant field have twice the likelihood of entrepreneurial success compared to those without experience. This graph illustrates this point clearly. The higher your income in the field, before starting a business, the higher the profit of your company after starting it. The story of Airbnb having a chance as newcomers is, because it entered a completely new field. For mature fields, it's often the outstanding figures within that field who succeed in entrepreneurship. A classic example is Tony Fadell, the founder of Nest Labs, who started his entrepreneurial journey in his 40s. His flagship product was a home thermostat. Before founding Nest Labs, Fadell served as director of engineering at Philips, where he gained experience in team management and financing. He also served as senior vice president at Apple, learning how to improve user experience. In other words, before founding Nest Labs, Fadell had an impressive resume in Silicon Valley. Having made mistakes and learned lessons in his younger years, he accumulated significant capabilities. Seth suggests that Fadell's route represents a more general entrepreneurial formula. 1. Spend many years accumulating expertise and building a network. 2. Prove your success in the field. 3. In middle age, seize the opportunity to start your own company. In summary, opportunities indeed favor prepared minds, and middle-aged individuals do possess abilities. Talent is essentially a form of luck, but abilities can be accumulated. Abilities are the knowledge you've gained in the field, the experiences you've had, the partners you've collaborated with, the achievements you've earned, and the mistakes you've learned from. Abilities can be largely represented by your income. Given the same opportunities, individuals with stronger abilities can utilize them better. While the older generation overly emphasizes abilities, and the newer generation's stories overly highlight luck, a more accurate understanding is the combination of ability and luck. This concludes the entire content of this section. In the next part, we'll talk about happiness.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.